All right. Mini PCs. Right. That's what we're diving into today.
Yeah. Powerful little machines.
You're looking for a PS5 Pro alternative, something that can keep up, but maybe not, break the bank.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're checking out this Spanish YouTube review about the GTI 12. That's by Billing.
The GTI 12? Okay. I've heard some good things.
Have you seen this thing? It's like they took a Mac Mini and they were like, let's make it for PC gaming.
Oh, really? So it's got that kind of sleek look.
Totally. Aluminum body. The reviewer said it's a tad bigger than some other mini PCs.
Okay.
But that's for a good reason. Better cooling.
Yeah.
Built-in power supply, so no, massive brick.
Smart. Yeah, when you're packing that much power. By the way, what are we talking specs-wise?
Oh, we're talking, serious power. 12th Gen Intel i9-12900H CPU, up to 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM.
Whoa, okay.
And get this, you can get it with up to 8 terabytes of storage.
8 terabytes in that little thing. That's wild. But I got to ask, can a mini PC really compete in the graphics department? Can it hang with a PS5 Pro?
And that is where the GTI 12 gets really interesting. It's got this PCIe slot, and that lets you hook up an external GPU enclosure.
Oh, I see. So you're basically bypassing the whole integrated graphics thing entirely.
Exactly. You're tapping into the power of a dedicated GPU.
Okay, now we're talking.
That changes things.
The reviewer even said the enclosure with an RTX 4070 Ti in it is about the size of a PS5 Slim laying down.
Interesting. So you've got the sleek little box on your desk and then...
Yeah, and then the enclosure kind of off to the side.
Got it. But isn't that, adding a layer of complexity, like drivers and setup? You'd think so, right? But the reviewer was actually surprised by how easy it was to set up. Plug and play, basically.
All right, so no headaches there.
Yeah.
But how does it actually perform? That's the real test, right?
He ran a bunch of benchmarks, like demanding games, all at 4K ultra settings.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Hit me with some numbers. What are we talking here?
Okay, so Horizon Zero Dawn, over 100 frames per second average.
Solid. What else?
Spider-Man Remastered, 130 to 140 frames per second average. He even saw it hit 160, 170 sometimes.
Wow. Okay, so we're not just talking about matching a console. We're talking exceeding it.
Right. And he even tested Red Dead Redemption 2, which can be a real resource hog. Consistently hit 90 frames per second, sometimes even went over 100.
Okay, color me impressed. This little thing is a beast. What did the reviewer say? Was he blown away?
Yeah, he was really impressed. He even mentioned that the GTI 12 stayed really cool, even with all that power. Lower CPU temperatures than some other mini PCs he's tested, probably because of that efficient design.
That's important. Heat can be a real issue with these compact machines. So, okay, it's powerful, it's small, it stays cool. But going back to our listener's question, how does it stack up against the PS5 Pro in terms of overall value?
So that's where things get really, really interesting. You're not just getting the power here, you're getting this whole other level of flexibility, long-term value.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's more than just a gaming machine, right?
Yeah.
It's a full-blown PC. So you can use it for work, creative stuff, whatever.
Right, that's the beauty of PC gaming. It's not just a closed box.
Yeah.
Did the reviewer talk about any other advantages compared to, a console experience?
He did. He mentioned the cost of games. PC games tend to be cheaper, especially compared to those console exclusives.
Yeah, true. And you've got more competition between digital stores, more sales, better prices.
Totally. And what about upgrades? With a console, you're stuck with whatever they give you for 5, 6, 7 years. But with this...
You can upgrade as you go. Future-proof, right?
Exactly. Want to boost the performance in a couple of years? Just swap out the GPU for a newer model.
Makes sense. Technology moves so fast these days. It's nice to not have to replace your whole setup every few years just to keep up.
And it's not just the GPU. Down the line, you could even upgrade the mini PC itself if you wanted. Keep using the external GPU you already have.
Oh, interesting. So you've got that modularity. I like that.
Yeah, it gives you more control, right, over your setup, your budget. The reviewer even suggested starting with a more budget-friendly GPU, like an RTX 4060 Ti.
Okay. And then upgrade later on.
Yep. He said that would give you performance that's on par with what they're saying the PS5 Pro might have.
Smart. That way you're not breaking the bank all at once.
Yeah.
So it's more flexible. Potentially cheaper in the long run. But
yeah.
I don't know. There's got to be some downsides, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not perfect. The reviewer did say that some people might find the whole external GPU thing, I don't know.
A little intimidated.
Yeah, a little intimidated, maybe even a little inconvenient. I mean, with a console, it's just one box. You plug it in, and you're good to go.
True. And let's be honest, Couch co-op.
Yeah.
Still easier on a console.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can do local multiplayer on a PC.
It's just not quite as seamless.
Not quite. You might need to do a little bit of setup.
Hmm.
Figure out controllers, that kind of thing.
So it's really about, I guess, what's important to you?
Yeah.
Convenience versus...
Flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much you like to, I don't know, tinker.
Right. Exactly. Are you someone who wants to just plug and play? Or do you like to kind of get under the hood a little bit?
Because this is definitely more of a, like, hands-on approach. It's like you're building your own gaming experience.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's something exciting about that.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of exciting, did he talk about mods at all?
Oh, yeah. He mentioned the whole modding community on PC.
Right. That's huge.
You can totally change the way a game looks, the way it plays, stuff that you just can't do on a console.
That's got to be a huge plus for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. It's a whole other level of, like, creativity and customization.
But there's always a but.
There's always a but. What's the but?
Well, it's not always easy, right? Finding mods, installing them, making sure they work.
True, true. It's not always just like, click, download, done.
Sometimes you got to dig through forums, figure out why something's not working.
All right. You need a certain level of, like, tech comfort.
Which brings us back to, what kind of gamer are you?
There it is. The age-old question.
Do you want something that's easy and curated?
Yeah.
Or do you want the freedom to, like, really make it your own?
Right. And I feel like this setup with the GTI 12 and the external GPU, it's kind of a nice middle ground.
Yeah, I see that. It's like, it's not a console, but it's not a full-on, custom-built PC either.
And that might be the perfect sweet spot for some people. But we've talked about flexibility. We've talked about performance.
But we haven't talked about price.
And that, my friend, is the next big question. So the reviewer, he actually goes into some detail on this. And it's actually pretty surprising.
Okay, I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
So he's saying, yeah, up front, the cost of the mini PC, the enclosure, a good GPU, yeah, it's going to be comparable to a PS5 Pro, maybe even a little more.
Yeah, that's what I'd expect.
But then he starts talking about the long game, the long-term value.
Okay, and what's the argument there?
Well, for one, games. We already talked about that. PC games just tend to be cheaper.
True. Sales, more competition, all that.
Right. And then upgrades. We talked about that too. With a console, you're stuck. But with this, you can upgrade piece by piece.
You're not replacing the whole thing every few years just to keep up.
Exactly. So yeah, maybe you spend a bit more up front, but you might actually save money in the long run.
Interesting. So it's like an investment.
Kind of, yeah. And you're investing in that flexibility too.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Especially if you're the kind of person who likes to have the latest and greatest.
And it's not just about the money. It's also about, like, not contributing to e-waste.
Oh, that's a good point. Being able to actually use your hardware for longer. That's definitely a plus.
For sure. So, okay, the GTI 12, it's small, it's powerful, it's flexible.
It's giving us a lot to think about.
It really is. And it just
Yeah.
goes to show there are alternatives out there. You don't necessarily have to go with the big console companies.
And there are different ways to approach PC gaming. It doesn't have to be this big, intimidating thing.
Right. This little machine, it kind of proves that.
It's pretty cool.
So for our listener out there, if you're thinking about that PS5 Pro, maybe give this some thought, do your research.
Figure out what's important to you.
Exactly. Do you want that easy plug-and-play experience? Go with the console.
Or do you want more power, more control, more flexibility? Then maybe this is the route to go.
And hey, maybe in a couple years, we'll be talking about mini PCs the size of a deck of cards.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Running Cyberpunk 2077 in 8K.
Okay, now you're just making stuff up.
Hey, a gamer can dream, can't he? But until then, keep exploring, keep gaming.
Keep diving deep.
That's what it's all about.